Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Honest Dipper, and unlike my cheating uncle, I have something to show you that isn't a hoax. It nearly killed me getting him into that cage. Behold, part gremlin, part goblin, the Gremloblin!
Well, that's fun.
It's fake, honey. You can see the strings.
What? Those aren't strings, that's body hair!
Ah, look at this, dear. The six-packalope.
Wordplay.
No, everything else here is fake. This is a real paranormal beast. Hey, fun fact about this little guy. If you look into his eyes, you can see your worst nightmare. Amazing, right? I work for tips. Thanks again for visiting!
Hello everyone, and welcome back to Pining for the Falls, the podcast where everyone wants to take a cat shower. I'm Fire Princess Lily, and I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Doc Sea Monster. Hey Doc, how you doing?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Doing pretty good right now.
Good. Good. What you been up to since we last recorded the podcast?
Not much. I bought a hamburger that I really didn't like. It didn't agree with me. Felt kind of iffy for the day, but I'm fine now.
Well, that's good. You don't put pico de gallo in a hamburger, I don't think. I don't think that's a thing you should do.
Okay, well, tomatoes, jalapenos, and onions, that's great. That's fine on the burger. There was this cilantro lime sauce on it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Something
Do you-
about, like...
Do you have the taste buds that don't let you taste cilantro correctly?
No, I like cilantro. Like, something about lime and ground beef just didn't do it for me.
That makes sense. That's fair, I suppose, yeah.
I think I would have enjoyed it more if it was like a chicken breast instead of a burger patty. It's like citrus and chicken is absolutely a yes for me.
Nice.
No, that's just... I've heard other people like it. It's just a taste thing, you know.
Right. What else is going on?
Not a lot. Trying to do some riding later.
Cool.
It's always fun. What about you? What's going on for you lately?
Well, you know, I've just been working a lot. That's what I do. I work 5 days a week, which I would say like most people, but a lot of people are currently out of a job. So, I mean, you know, I try my best not to complain.
I have not worked since March.
Yeah, you know.
I honestly don't even know if I have a job anymore right now.
Oof.
It's like we were supposed to be starting up doing like telecommunicating, broadcasting our work, but I've heard nothing about that for a month. So either my job is either shut down totally, not actually work opening at all, or I got fired and no one told me.
Oh. I'd say you should call them about that.
Probably. I might do that tomorrow.
Other than work, I've been playing Borderlands 3 a whole lot. I just started the very last, whatchamacallit, DLC. I just started the very last DLC, and so far, so good, I guess. Oh, I've heard of that. A lot of people don't particularly care for this particular DLC called Bounty of Blood. I like westerns, and it's set up like a western, so yeah, I probably might enjoy this. We'll see. I'm not through it yet.
It's good.
Other than that, I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
I mean to check out Borderlands, but I haven't given it a shot yet.
I mean, it's pretty fun. I like it. I think it's better when you play it with people, but I don't do that, so I always play the character that can kind of like solo stuff. And in Borderlands 3, there's a character named Flak, FL4K, and their voice, because it's a non-binary character, they're voiced by ProZD. So that's half the reason I picked them. The other half is they get a pet that can kill stuff and revive you when they kill it.
Sounds super fun. I'm a big fan of a ProZD.
Yeah.
Sung One, I believe his name is.
Yeah, Songwan Jo.
He's great.
Very great.
I have literally sat and watched him eat potato chips and been entertained.
Right? Let's see.
Started doing tasting videos on his channel occasionally. He tries all the Lunchables or all the Pringles or all the Lays.
Yeah.
And those videos are not bad, honestly.
They're not.
Just a really charismatic performer.
Absolutely.
I've often said that I could watch. There's actors that I could watch just doing anything.
Let's see. I've also been, watching new animation. Got a High School, which is, I've been reading for since 2011. Finally got an anime. The second episode comes out tonight, so I'm going to watch that later. It's going to be fun. I've been watching J.G. Quintel's new show. It's not regular show, but it's close enough. I want to keep using that joke. I like that joke, and everybody can just get over it. It's good. It's like the regular show, if the regular show wasn't worried about standards and practices and such.
Cool.
Other than that, there's been wrestling, and this just yesterday, AEW released their dark card. The dark matches are matches that don't make it onto like regular TV. They happen before and after the show, the main show. And I gotta say, this is a real confusing dark card. I don't like it. I mean, I like it and I don't like it. I like it because it's wrestling and I like wrestling. Well, whatever. But the matches, they do not make all the sense in the world. You have Sean Dean, Will Hobbs, and Joe Alonzo, who are all like local talent, but they're taking on Alex Reynolds, John Silver, and Alan Angels of the Dark Order, and two of those three are jobbers. So it just kind of sucks that the local talent is probably going to lose to the jobbers, even if Alan Angels does like everything by himself and takes the win. I mean, that would be a little understandable, but I just feel bad for Sean Dean because he's real talented and he's been like a real like breakout talent during like this entire pandemic, like since they called him in to help with stuff. And last week he lost to Michael Nakazawa, who's not the worst wrestler in AEW. He had one win previously in the company. So, but generally, Michael Nakazawa does job out. And to have Sean Dean, who's this incredible talent, job out to Michael Nakazawa of all people, just felt real bad for him. Felt real not good. Other matches,
So I've got a reasonable understanding of wrestling. So basically, sending like rookies against people who mostly job, which is, if for people who don't know the wrestling parlance, people whose job it is to lose. They do the job and lose the match to make the other wrestler look good. They're either going to lose to the jobbers and make the jobbers look a little bit more impressive, or they might win, but it's unlikely given that one of them jobbed for another jobber recently.
Yeah, I mean, I would almost think that Sean Dean and his team could get a win, except for I haven't seen Will Hobbs just showed up last week, and Joe Alonzo. Nobody likes Joe Alonzo. He's just kind of there to do work. So I don't see Sean Dean winning unless somehow Alan Angels sets his team up to win, tags in one of the Beaver Boys. That was their tag team name before they joined the Dark Order. And then Sean Dean gets in and steals the win. Maybe that, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. Him losing to Michael Nakazawa just kind of like, ugh, I did not like that because Michael Nakazawa's finisher is he like takes off his underwear like from his trunks and like does sort of like a mandible claw with it, and it's not good. And he did that to Sean Dean last week, and I was like, that sucks. I would no. Mm-mm.
A little gross.
So it's kind of gross. I like Michael Nakazawa, but I did not need to see him do that to somebody who probably shouldn't have lost that match. Another match that doesn't make sense this week is Brandy Rhodes and Allie will be tag teaming again, which with QT Marshall being out of at home, stuck at home because potential coronavirus exposure. Keeping them together doesn't make a lot of sense because that was mostly for a QT story. But what also doesn't make sense about them tagging is that the women's division is like half the women's division is either out due to injury or they're stuck in a different country because of the pandemic. So you're missing half the roster, just regularly. Then, there's no tag division in the women's division. There's no women's tag division. So them keeping Allie and Brandy on a tag team and then putting out statements like, oh, they're undefeated in tags. Oh, they need to keep their eye on the prize. What prize? What's the point? There's nothing they're building to. All you're going to get at the end of this is them breaking up for whatever reason. That's it. There's not like they're going to win a championship and hold it for a while. No, there's nothing. There's nothing there. Like, this feels like a waste of my time, their time, everybody's time, and it's a segment that could be devoted to something that actually means something. It's bad enough that the women get basically like 5-10 minutes a week. Like, they really need to work on this division, and it feels like they're not. And I know that where a good women's division is, but I will not give WWE any of my time, so it just sucks. And
yeah, I get where you're coming from.
So that's what's going on in wrestling. Other than there's going to be an awesome match between Jon Moxley and Brian Cage this week. We talked about Brian Cage a little bit on yesterday. But for those of that don't know, Brian Cage is just like a swole motherfucker. Like, holy shit. His traps are bigger than my head. Like, it's ridiculous. This dude's got neck muscles that, like, probably should be, you could probably claim as dependents.
I did my first Zoom game of Magic, and it worked out fine, and I had fun.
Good deal. Did you win?
Actually did.
Nice.
I was playing this card called Kalia Zenith Seeker, and we were playing the format called Commander, where you have like one legendary creature and a 100-card deck. That's all singles.
Right.
And it's a multiplayer format, so it was me and 3 other guys.
Right.
And it was actually my 3 best friends at Magic, so it was a really good time. So the thing about Kalia Zenith Seeker is she is the theme of that card is when she comes into play, you get to look at the top cards of your deck, and you can put a demon card, an angel card, and a dragon card into your hand. The whole deck is like demons, angels, and dragons creatures that are all kind of on the cheap side, casting cost wise.
Right.
So I can get a lot of them. Like, most of the time, those kinds of cards are very expensive and they're very splashy, but they're like they cost a lot of resources to get on the field. But I built this deck intentionally a little bit cheaper, a little bit lower, a little bit more low to the ground, so I can get out more things faster. And that deck has been pretty reliable ever since I made it. It has never really let me down.
Oh, very cool.
So anything else?
No, not at all.
Talk about Gravity Falls?
Yeah, we can do that. I suppose that's why we're here. This week we watched episode 13, Boss Mable. This episode, pretty good. I like it. It's got some memorable lines and such.
This episode is fine.
This episode's fun.
One of my favorites, but it's good. I'd give it maybe like at worst I'd give it 4 out of 10 just because it didn't really have a lot in it for me.
That's
really
a low
clicked.
score.
I'm just saying, but keep in mind, like 5 for Gravity Falls is like a 7 for.
Right.
Even though this might be a 4 on out of 10 for Gravity Falls, still well above the curve.
Right, I hear what you're saying. So we open on a shot of the Mystery Shack. And then as we look in, all of the Pines family is watching TV with their pet pig Waddles. Or Mabel's pet pig Waddles. And they're watching Cash Wheel, which is sort of like a Wheel of Fortune parody. I mean, it's exactly like a Wheel of Fortune parody. But it's sponsored by Chipackers. Chipzacker? Anyway, they're the chip flavor crackers, which Mabel just happens to be eating a box. She's like, they taste just like chips, and it's pretty good. We watched the contestants for a little bit. One of them lands on the cash shower, which Stan is super excited for because he likes money. The contestant is in the middle of his cash shower when one of the other contestants reaches out for some of the money falling, to which leads that particular contestant to get punched in the face. Stan's like, I like this guy's style. Because that's exactly what Stan would do. Zeus interrupts them by announcing that there's a tour bus, like a whole busload of tourists. They're coming into the Mystery Shack, and Stan's excited. He's like, oh man, this is the jackpot. Let's go make some new attractions, Zeus. And like, it's pretty good. Zeus runs over and starts just gluing different heads to different bodies. His back is covered in animal parts. Wendy is marking up the prices of snow globes at Stan's request. And Dipper's like, what the hell, man? It's like you see, when you look at people, all you see are wallets with legs, and Growl's is like, no, I don't. But then he looks out the window at a family, and all he sees is a family of wallets, and the child wallet is like, thanks for taking me to the Mystery Shack, Daddy. To which the father wallet is like, don't spend yourself in one place. It's like, he then watches another person crawl out of a car, but they, of course, they look like a wallet, and they're throwing up money. And he sends Dipper out to clean it up. This is when we cut into the intro. Skipping the intro. Still a good intro. We cut back in on a hand putting a penny into one of those penny press machines. Or a machine that looks like a penny press at the very least. You know, the kind of machine where you put in your coin and then it rounds it out and makes it look differently, like it's a souvenir thing.
I enjoy those things and actually have quite a few.
Yeah, I mean, they're neat. They're nifty. We watch the coin go through the machine and a piece of paper come out that says, thanks for the penny, from Stan. This child walks away, very depressed. We cut back to Stan showing the tour group like a bunch of different attractions inside the Mystery Shack. He's like, here, take a look at this picture of a horse riding another horse. It's unnatural. It's so wrong. And they're like, oh wow, that's neat. Oh, he's like, now be astounded by the horrible preteen wolf, and it's just Dipper, dressed in a wolf costume without a shirt and some fake fangs, which is weird. So it's like, go ahead.
I think the Wolf Boy joke is like, for the writers, a little needlessly cruel for Dipper.
Yeah. I was like, look at him, all that hair, his body's changing.
Like as a gag, it's a bit much.
It's a bit much, yeah. They were like, Grunkle Stan, this is the meaning. This isn't cool, my dude. It's like, the girl's like, I don't know the meaning of that word. Hey, if you throw money at him, he does little dances. So the crowd starts throwing money at Dipper. To which he's like, he gets hit with change. He's like, oh, this sucks. But he does like a dance, and Grunkle Stan's just catching money in a jar. We cut back to Mable at the register, and she's like, "Behold, Mystery Shack bumper stickers. You can put them on anything. You can stick them on your bumper, or over your husband's mouth. This lady knows what I'm talking about, right?" And of course, this lady actually that she's talking to finds this super charming. She's like, "Oh, you're so bad. How much?" And Mabel's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's on the house. That's the Mable difference. Thanks for visiting." And Stan's like, "What?" Coming out from a cardboard cutout of himself. He is not happy. He's like, "What do you think you're doing?" And it was like, "Business." He's like, "Look, you don't make money by giving stuff away. You're off register duty." Mabel's like, "Oh, come on." He's like, "No, get out of here. Shut your yap." And Mabel's like, "Whatever happened to please and thank you?" He's like, "Oh, wait, here they are." She pulls out stickers that say please and thank you. And stick them to Stan's face, only for him to stick the please sticker to the register for no reason. And he's like, I don't say those words. They give me an ulcer. It's no good. Pretty funny. And Dipper's like, "Grunkle Stan, why do I have to wear this wolf costume? I think I'm getting hookworm." He's like, "Yeah, that's kind of what happens when you get glued dog hair to your body." He's like, Dipper's like, "Man, these exhibits suck. There's a forest full of like amazing creatures that we can just go we can catch. We can have a real haunted attraction instead of lying to people." And Mabel's like, "You should be nicer to your employees too." And Grunkle Stan's like, "Look, if you don't like it, take it up with the complaints department." He pulls up a trash can, to which Mabel starts actually writing down a complaint. It's pretty good. We then cut to the outside of the shack, and everybody is painting the sign with basically pink glitter. Stan's like, "Come on, guys. A glittery sign attracts tourists." Zeus gets attacked by an eagle. And this is when the crew starts complaining about, everything that Stan has done to them. Even Zeus is like, "I have this cool idea that I could be like the Mystery Shack mascot, like questioning the question mark. I'd have like catchphrases and ask people questions and do a question dance." And Mabel thinks that's amazing. That's such a good idea. And everybody kind of agrees, except Zeus is like, "Yeah, well, Stan said I couldn't handle it, so we didn't do it." Mabel is pissed to hear this. We cut to Grunkle Stan waving bye to the tourists, saying, "Remember, we put the fun in, no refunds." He walks back to the middle Mystery Shack, only for Mabel to be there super angry. She's like, "You've gone too far. I can't believe you told Zeus that he shouldn't follow his dreams. Like, come on. Like, just because you said he couldn't handle it." And Grunkle says, like, "Look, being the boss is about commanding respect. You give people anything they ask for, they'll walk all over you." And Mabel's like, "No, I bet you'd make way more money if you were being nice to people instead of being a big grumpy grump to everybody all the time." It's like, "What, you think you know about business more than I do? You think you could wear my hat?" And Mabel's like, "Yeah, because people like me and I give them respect and glittery stickers." And she sticks the sticker to herself. And says like, "Ha! I would make more money on a vacation than you would running this place." This leads to them making a bet between each other. Because Mabel's like, "Well, why don't you go on vacation then?" And Grunkle says like, "Interesting, a bet." Yeah. So Grunkle Stan bets Mabel that he can make more money on vacation while she runs the shack. She has 72 hours, 3 days. She's going to run the shack. He is going to go on vacation. And if he makes more money than she does while he's on vacation, she's got to wear a shirt that says "loser" all summer. It's not a great shirt. It's, an off-white. It's just Sharpie it's just Sharpie writing the word "loser" on it.
Literally, draws "loser" on a plain white t-shirt right there while talking to her.
Yeah, he does. It's pretty good. And Mabel's like, "Fine, that's fine. But if I win, I get to be the boss for the rest of the summer. And you have to sing a song, an apologizing song, where I write the lyrics." And Stan's like, "Oh, you got yourself a deal." And Mabel's like, "No, you got yourself a deal." And they go back and forth, screaming deal at each other. Mabel ends it by sticking a heart sticker to Grunkle Stan's nose and saying deal. Stan leaves the Mystery Shack, throwing his hat at Mabel saying, "You got 72 hours, good luck," and he drives off. Dipper's like, did you just make a bet with a professional con man? And Mabel's like, come on, being better at Boston Stan will be a cinch. Profit, here we come. And she drops the jar, and it breaks, and and Dipper's like, you broke the jar. She's like, we'll get a new one. It's really good. I like that bit. And Dipper's like, well, I guess we shouldn't be too worried. How much money can Stan make on vacation? Like, how much could he even make? We then cut to Stan in a Hawaiian shirt on a set for a cash wheel. An agent's just like, can I help you, sir? He's like, I'm here to take all the cash from your wheel. Which is pretty good. We then cut back to the mystery.
A lot of good gags in this episode.
Huh?
A lot of good gags in this episode.
There are a lot of good gags in this episode. We cut back to the Mystery Shack with Zeus, Dipper, and Wendy walking into the boss's office, which has been redecorated because now Mabel's in charge. There's bean bags and plush animals and posters that say hopes and dreams. And, it's like it's been niced up, more or less, It's a warm atmosphere. Mm-hmm. Mabel turns around in the swivel chair to reveal that she is wearing a business suit, or at least the top of a business suit, with shoulder pads and glasses that probably don't do anything for her. But when they walk in, Zeus is like, "Oh, you wanted to see us, Mr. Pines?" Mabel turns around, she's like, "Stan is no longer with us." To which leads Zeus to have an emotional breakdown. He's like, "Oh no, he's dead? Why could it have been me?" And Mabel's like, "Whoa, Zeus, Stan's not dead. He's just on vacation for 3 days. It's cool. We made a bet." And Zeus gets up and he's like, "Oh, well, thanks for clarification." She's like, "Mabel's in charge now." Dipper points out her shoulder pads, so when she does like a shoulder wiggle, like, "Yeah, I'm wearing shoulder pads." It's just one of my up-to-date managerial tricks I learned from this book I found propping up the kitchen table. She pulls up a book that says Succeeding in Management, 1983. It's got a floppy disk on it and some really bad 80s computer logo. Like, I remember these books. Not good. Yeah. She drinks out of a mug that says, "Number 2 Boss." And Dipper's like, "Why does your mug say number 2? And Mabel says, "Because the real number 1 is you." And she pulls out a mirror showing them themselves and like, oh, like they're really happy. She's like, "Come on, walk with me. With me as a boss, you're going to notice a few changes around here. My job is to help you be your best selves." It's an acronym that stands for Satisfied, Everyday, Loving Life, Very Much, Everyday Satisfied. Whew. It's a lot. It's a mouthful. And also doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Which, a lot of those acronyms don't make a lot of sense.
I really don't.
They really don't. But Mabel's like, "A great listening ear so far." And she gives everybody a thumbs up sticker, which Zeus likes a lot. And she's like, "Waddles, hold my call." Which Waddles starts chewing on the phone. Mabel pulls up a chair and she spins it around so she can sit on it, cool style, quote unquote. And she's like, "All right, people, now rap with me. Wendy, how can I make your workspace more Wendy friendly?" And she's like, "Well, Stan never lets me hang out with my friends at work." And Mabel's like, "Hey, you know what? Just consider it an open door. Boom, friends can come in." Wendy's like, "Oh, that's awesome." And she's like, "Zeus, I believe this is yours." And she pulls out a giant question mark costume, which is just a question mark. And he's like, "Oh my god, questioning the question mark." I wish this was an exclamation point to show how excited I am. It's pretty good. And Mabel pulls out the wolf costume. She says, "For you, Dipper." And she shreds the wolf costume. She's like, "Die, wolf costume, die." She's like, "I want you to go into those woods and don't come back until you've found us an amazing real attraction." And Dipper's like, "Yes, finally, time to show Stan what being a mystery hunter is all about." Which is a weird line in my opinion because Stan's not a mystery hunter. He's a con man, like, famously. But Dipper picks up a big flail and he opens a window, to fall out of the window. And Mabel's like, okay, guys, it's time to prove that nice bosses finish first. We have 48 hours to do so. So she spent a whole day
On her improvements.
on her improvements, which is already not good. But she's like, in the next 48 hours, we're going to fill up this jar with $600 billion, which, that's a lot. And Wendy's like, wait, do you know how money works? And Mabel's like, yeah, of course I do. And then she's like, Waddles, go grab me a latte. And Waddles eats whatever money he's being handed. She's like, oh, you're hungry. And she feeds him another dollar bill or whatever. It's just like, it's pretty good. We cut back to the auditions for the cash wheel. There's a long line. Stands in the middle. He's like, oh, this line's taking forever. Time to use my own man powers. He's like, I'm having a heart attack as he grips his chest. He's like, and the only cure is to be a contestant on the cash wheel. Oh, somebody give me a thought. Aide turns around to a producer and says, should we just throw this guy out? The producer says, that man is a self-centered attention hog. Let's put him on TV. Like, it's really good. We come back to Mabel, who's giving herself a thumbs up. Like, it's a montage, folks. We're in a montage. We're just watching Mabel, like, open some blinds and set up milkshakes in the water cooler, which is interesting. She puts a smiley face on her profit margin. She runs around screaming for time cards because, boss stuff. She's being the boss. She puts up a poster of her own face that says leadership on an eagle. She's like, that's beautiful. We see that the Mystery Shack has a sign that says, under new management. Mabel's outside. She's holding her jar. People are putting money in the jar. She looks like she's doing pretty good. Dipper shows up. He's like, man, Mabel, I captured something that's going to blow these tourists away. It's a giant sack. It reaches out and bites his arm in the sack, which Dipper punches it and let's go. And Mabel's like, oh, that's marvelous work, valued employee. And who's that I see over there? Is that Questiony the question mark? Zeus is hiding behind a porta potty with only his head showing out. He's like, I'm sorry to second guess this, Mabel. I'm having second thoughts. And she's like, no, come on, you gotta believe in yourself. He's like, but I keep forgetting my lines, and this costume is way more revealing than I expected. He steps out, and honestly, I don't know why he couldn't wear clothes with this.
Why is Zeus wearing pants?
Why isn't he just, wearing a shirt and some pants? He's just in his underwear and some socks and this question mark uniform, which, it's not a good look.
It's appropriate as a question mark because I have so many questions.
But Mabel's like, come on, Zeus, don't give up. Believe in yourself. Anything is possible when you imaginize it. Which she gets out of her 1983 management book. And Zeus is like, I don't know what that means. And Mabel shushes him by putting her finger on his lips, which is also weird. And she's like, just believe in yourself. And Zeus is like, but... And she walks away. The wind starts blowing, and Zeus is now, like, holding himself. He's like, oh, it's so cold. Maybe it wouldn't be cold if you put on a shirt.
It's Oregon, but isn't it also, like, July?
Okay. It's July right now here in Washington. Oregon's just under us. Let me tell you. It is 78 degrees right now.
Okay, that's a bit. That's not quite. It's not quite. That's not quite underwear weather.
This is also the show is also the timing of the show is somewhere in between like 2007, 2014, and let me tell you, when I first visited Washington before I moved here, I visited at the beginning of July, end of June, and when I would wake up to 40-degree mornings here in Washington. Of course, temperatures have been changing, within the last 6 years or so. But
because of the other apocalypse.
because of the other apocalypse. But yeah, so it does actually get cold up here during the summer. Like, it's one of the reasons I like it up here. Instead of living in Texas, where it's like, what is the temperature today? Over 100? High 90s?
It hit a 103 today. It's down to 95 right now at 7 o'clock at night.
You know, that is talk about a cold snap.
Just go nocturnal during the summer.
I can't believe people live there. Let's see. Yeah, let me tell you. The low for tomorrow is 52 degrees with a high of 72. It is sweltering over here. Anyway, back to Gravity Falls. Mabel walks back in the Mystery Shack. You know, she's like, how's my favorite Wendy? Walking to the front. And the front of the shop is trashed. Because there's a bunch of teens just kicking around a shrunken head. They kick the shrunken head, and it hits a child in the face. To which his mother runs over and is like, Billy, your face! It's ruined! Mabel runs over, pulls some money out of the jar, and says, here, I'm sorry, please have a refund. She hands money over to the woman. The woman then grabs that money and reaches her other hand in the jar to take more money. And Mabel's like, oh, that's not good. And Mabel's like, Wendy, you've got a lot of cleaning up to do. This is not cool. She's like, please, could you do that? And Wendy's like, I don't know. All this rule stuff is starting to make you sound like Stan. And Mabel's like, what? No, I am nothing like Stan. In fact, why don't you take the rest of the day off? And Wendy's like, with full pay? And Mabel's like, of course. And Wendy's like, yeah, that's cool. And she runs off. And Mabel's like, Mabel Pines, you're the best boss ever.
He's kind of an asshole here.
Wendy is kind of an asshole here. We then pan the camera to Zeus poking a lady on the shoulder and screaming, I'm questioning the question mark! And he gets sprayed with pepper spray for his trouble. He's screaming, dude, it stinks so bad. It's pretty good. We then cut to the host of the Cash Wheel. He's like, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cash Wheel, logo. He's like, now let's meet our contestants. We turn to the contestants. The first one is Doug. He's like, I'm Doug from Fairfield, California. Then it cuts to the woman next to him. She's like, I'm Donna from... And this leads to Stan busting into her frame going, I'm Stan Pines. And then he goes over to where Stan's supposed to be. He's like, did we already do me? I'm Stan. It's pretty good. The host is like, okay. Go on.
Now, I certainly didn't dislike this episode, but kind of hearing another perspective on it and getting reminded of some of the gags, I'm definitely warming up on it, honestly.
But the host is like, oh, okay, well, it's going to be a long night, folks. Which gets a laugh out of the audience. Yeah. He says it's time to, and then Stan starts laughing like out loud. He's like, all right, yeah, it's time to solve that puzzle, Carla. And Stan immediately goes, are there any S's? He's like, man, it is not your turn, but the board lights up showing S's. And Stan's like, I'm ready to solve. Is it shut your yaps? The host is like, the game has not even started yet. Stan makes his guess, and the board immediately lights up to say, shut your yaps. And Stan wins $1,000. The host is actually impressed by this. He's like, well played. Stan spins the wheel. He's like, come on, cash hour, cash hour, cash hour. It does land on the cash hour. He's like, yeah. he starts taking off his clothes, to which the host is like, Mr. Pines, no, you don't need to take your clothes off. But Stan is already like getting naked. He's like, let's cut to commercial. That is when the show would actually cut to commercial, but instead we're cutting over to the Mystery Shack. We cut on a couple looking at these horrible creations that Stan's made. And we listen to Dipper say, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Honest Dipper, and unlike my cheating uncle, I have something to show you that isn't Hoke. It nearly killed me getting him into this cage, but behold, part gremlin, part goblin, the Grimoblin. And it's a big monster in a cage. He's shaking his bars. Dipper pats the journal. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't have found it without this. The Grimoblin splits out an entire skeletal arm with a ring attached to it. The husband of this couple is like, oh, that's fun. And his wife's like, honey, it's fake. You can see the strings. And Dipper's like, what? No, those aren't strings. That's body hair. Come on. The couple turns away. She's like, oh, come over here and look at this, honey. It's a 6-packalope. It's like, wordplay. And Dipper's like, what? No, everything else here is fake. Like, this over here, this Grimoblin, this is real. This is a real paranormal piece. Hey, fun little fact about this guy. If you look into his eyes, you can see your worst nightmares. To which they look into this thing's eyes. Its eyes start glowing yellow. Then their eyes start glowing yellow. They do a little bit of a back and forth as their mouths gape open. And Dipper's like, amazing, right? I work for tips. Then we cut to an ambulance, and this couple is loaded up on one stretcher. They're just like...
How the hell did Dipper take that thing down?
With a flail.
I guess.
Yeah, it almost killed him.
Yeah.
Anyway, Dipper waves the couples off. He's like, thanks for visiting. We cut to Mable, who is doing everything she can to keep the Mystery Shack running by herself because, she let Wendy have the day off. And she is obviously just stressed trying to do what she can. Dipper walks in. He's like, well, I just made 2 people go insane. How about you? And he was like, I'm so tired. I gave Wendy the day off, so I had to do her job. Well, maybe you need to start being a little bit tough around here, says Dipper. He's like, what? No, that's the Stan way. That's what Stan would do. I'm nothing like Stan. I just need to be positive and friendly, and everything will work out fine. This is when the Grimoblin busts through the wall and, terrifies everybody. They all run out. And Dipper's like, what? How did he get out of his locked cage? And it was like, well... We cut to a scene of the Grimoblin looking up in his cage, and there is a note that says, for your 5-minute break, and it's pointing to a key for the cage. And Dipper's like, you gave him a break? And she's like, well, he's in a play, sort of. And she's like, Dipper's like, we gotta round him up. Where's Zeus? And it was like, he was stressed out, so I told him to take a soothing nature walk. We cut to Zeus, still in the question marks costume, and nothing else. And he's walking around the woods. He's like, hello? Civilization? Thunder rumbles. A wolf howls. And Zeus just responds with, doggy? Like, it's a question. Sorry, it's really good. We come back to the twins watching the Grimoblin just trash the Mystery Shack. They do catch Stan on TV, who has already collected $100,000 from the cash wheel. The host is like, ladies and gentlemen, Stan Pines is supposed to become our grand champion. Is there anything you want to say to your fans out there? And Stan's like, yeah, see you tomorrow night, Mable. It's pretty good. He starts waving the loser's shirt to the camera. Mabel's like, oh no. But there's not a lot that the twins can do as this thing is going crazy in the Mystery Shack, roaring and trashing stuff. They run out of the main room, hide behind a wall, and do their best to stay out of sight. The Grimoblin finds Mabel's stickers and starts putting them on itself. And Mabel's like, this is awful. What do we do? He's awarding himself stickers that he didn't even earn. Dipper starts reading from the journal. He's like, well, I got it. From here, it's like, when fighting a Grimoblin, use water. There's a big pause, and we catch Mable running over to the Grimoblin with a glass of water, splashing it in its face. Dipper turns the page. He's like, only as a last resort, as water makes him much, much scarier. Who writes sentences like that? The Grimoblin does get bigger, grows spikes, activates a cuckoo clock, which he blasts with a fireball. And Dipper's like, you know what? Let's just hide out. Don't worry, he's got to leave eventually. Cut to the evening. The Grimoblin has found the singing salmon. He spends the whole day jamming, and he is just pressing this button over and over again. On the singing salmon, I spend the whole day jamming. And Mabel's like, oh, why doesn't he just leave? The Grimoblin, who also now has horns, sniffs around. He spies the cash jar, picks it up, and he starts dumping cash into his mouth. Mabel's like, no, that's our profits. Hey, you gotta get out of here. She runs out. Mabel gets caught. And there was like, Mabel, whatever you do, don't look into his evil eye. You'll see your worst nightmare. And Mabel's like, well, I wish we had an evil eye so we could show him. Oh, no, because she looks right into his eyes, which they start glowing. Her eyes start glowing. And Dipper's like, wait a minute. That's it. Hey, monster. And he's like, take a look at this. He pulls out a mirror. The Grimoblin uses his own evil eye on himself. And his worst fear is his reflection talking back to him going, you've become your father, which is a real existential fear for this monster to have.
I really like this little insight to the Grimoblin's mind.
The Grimoblin screams in pain and runs out of the mystery shack back into the forest. It's like, and Dipper's like, well, at least he didn't do that much damage. The Grimoblin grows wings, flies away, and breaks the totem pole. Mabel's like, Dipper, it's the third day. There's only 7 hours left. He's like, we only got 7 hours to earn back our profits, or I've got to wear that loser shirt all summer. Wendy and Zeus show back up, and he's like, whoa, hey guys, am I nuts? Does this place look a little different? And Mabel's like, Wendy, Zeus, I am so glad to see you. We got to get to work. If we want to be 10, we got to put in our best effort, work hard. And Wendy's like, yeah, I've actually got like a little headache, so I was thinking I need to just take the day off and not work today. And this is like, and actually I just met this pack of wolves. I think they're gonna like raise me as one of their own, and I should really be at the den right now. And Mabel's like, but, and she looks real sad. And Wendy's like, hey, but we'll see you on Monday. Wendy is a real douchebag in this episode. Zeus does turn around and say, hey, BT Dubs, is anybody going to eat these? He's pointing to melting popsicles on the ground. And apparently that's the straw that breaks Mabel's back. Because she busts a pin, she's like, and she screams, enough! She's like, I've had it up to here! I fought monster to save this business, and this is how you repay me? Well, I'm going to get an ulcer from your lollygagging. And when he's like, lollygagging? And Zeus is like, ulcer? You're acting differently. And it was like, you shut your yaps, which causes everybody to shock. He's like, I've been doing everybody's jobs while you bums have been bleeding me dry. And when he's like, but, and Mabel's like, no buts, except yours, on the floor, cleaning. Like, she's just shouting. She's like, now quit loafing and get to work. And they're like, yes, Mabel. And she's like, that's yes, boss. And she slams her fist down on the counter, which causes Stan's fez to hit her head. She turns and looks at a mirror, seeing that she has become that which she fears. And she's like, Dipper, what have I become? And he's like, what you had to, Mabel. What you had to. She's like, we've got 7 hours to turn this around. So let's go, people. We come back to Stan, who has won the cash flood on this game show. And he's like, I'm giving none of this to charity. The TV host is like, and now you can go home a thousandaire. Or you could risk everything to double your money with a bonus word. And Stan's like, Rich, I'm a simple man. I want to take my winnings, bag my bags, and bet them all on the bonus word. The crowd cheers. We then come back to the Mystery Shack with the totem pole getting fixed. And Mabel's like, hurry, if you got any complaints about, being hurried, file with the complaint department. She picks up a trash can. Like, she really is just Stan at this point. She's like, oh, my back hurts. She's like, Dipper, we got tourists at 9 o'clock. He's like, but what do I show them? Real magic just freaks them out. And she's like, I don't know, just figure it out, knucklehead. Dipper then, we cut to Dipper giving a tour. He's like, lady and gentle tourist, this shack is filled with wonders. He's dressed sort of like Grunkle Stan. His hair slicked back, a eye patch on one eye. He's like, these have never been seen before by a human eye. But behold, the horrible giant question baby. It's just Zeus behind like a wooden barricade. He's like, am I a man? Am I a baby? These are legitimate questions. This is really good. The tour group was like, oh my god, this is awful. Ugh. And Dipper's like, well, you can have your picture taken for $10, $100. And they immediately start pulling out their money to take pictures. And Dipper's like, yeah. We then cut to all these tourists leaving with boxes of goods from the Mystery Shack. He's like, remember, we put the fun in no refunds. We cut back, and they filled the whole jar. Everybody's pretty happy with themselves. Dipper crunches the numbers, like, okay, minus the money to replace all the furniture, supplies to fix the shack. That leaves us with, Mabel's like, $1? Aww. And that's when Stan breaks in. He's like, time's up, kids. And Mabel's like, oh no. He's like, nice to see you learn how to dress while I was gone. And Mabel's like, well, fine, how much did you beat us by? He's like, I won $300,000. Like, oh, gasp. And he's like, and we cut back to the cash wheel. And the host is like, for your last chance to double your cash or lose it all, you just have to guess this 6-letter word which you use to ask for something politely. For example, may I blank have that? And Stan is like, what do I look like, folks? An idiot? The word is gimme. 2 E's. Which is, of course, wrong. Like, ooh. But because you've been such a good contestant, you've come this far, we're going to give you one more chance to get this word. Let's try it again. It's a P word, and somebody would say it's the magic word. To which Stan says, Padabracadabra. Final answer. And, of course, buzzed out. He's like, sorry, Stan. The word is, and we come back to Mable saying, it's please. And Stan's like, yeah, I guess that word can make you money.
Okay, I just want to say here that if I was up 300 fucking K, I wouldn't risk that for anything short of like fucking billion.
Well, you're not Stan Pines.
Okay, but I'm actually a very greedy person. I love money and all the things you can do with it.
Yeah, but you're not Stan Pines.
Sure. Like, there's no way I would like not just take 300K and just run like a fool.
Yeah, but in Stan's mind, he's won the game this far. None of the other contestants even got a chance to like get anything because he did so well.
I get it. Just like I'm just saying for me personally.
Yeah, no, I get it. But Stan lost it all. The kids have $1, and Dipper's like, wait, that means Mable, you won. And everybody but Stan cheers. And Zeus is like, what did we win again? And Stan's like, well, according to our bet, Mabel's your new boss, I guess. And everybody's like, no, we do not want that, please, no. And Stan's like, what? She's like, Grunkle Stan, I had no idea how hard it was being the boss. This place was all cuckoo bananas until I started barking orders at people like you do. He's like, yeah, well, I gotta admit, it's kind of nice to be back, All right, now get off me. That's enough. Because he like hugged the twins. He's like, Wendy, Zeus, get to work. Like, it's pretty good. Please. He grabs his head. He's like, oh, that still hurts. And Dipper turns to Mabel and says, "Hey, Mabel, didn't your agreement say something about Stan having to do some kind of apology dance if he lost?" And Stan's like, "No, it didn't." And Mabel's like, "Yeah, actually, I have it right here in my notes." He's like, "No, that never happened." When he's like, "I'll get the camera." He's like, "All right. Let me just," and he runs away. And Mabel chases him down. Our end credit sequence is Stan doing the Stan Was Wrong song. It's pretty good. But you're going to hear it, because that'll be our outro. But Stan does this dance, and we cut back to Mabel at the end of this, and she's like, let's do it again. It's pretty good. And that's the episode. That's the episode this week. Overall, I do like this one a lot, just because it's got a lot of really great Grunkle Stan moments. As we know, Grunkle Stan is my favorite character. Even if doing his voice does hurt my throat.
I didn't have didn't remember liking this episode particularly before I rewatched it today, and I did enjoy it. I think I needed kind of a second opinion on it. I'm definitely going to say that it's at least a 5, maybe a 6. It is good. It's at least as good as an average episode of the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not like it's not really lacking in any ways.
Mm-hmm.
It's mostly like there's a little bit of supernatural stuff, but it's not really a major plot element. It's mostly just the characters bouncing off each other.
Yeah,
it's very Mable focused. Mable focused episodes are all great.
The cryptogram this week, once decoded, reads, "Heavy is the head that wears the fez." It's a reference to William Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 2, in which King Henry says, the famous line, "Uneasy lies the head that wears the crown," which is often misquoted as, "Heavy is the head." Anyway, other neat trivia. This will apparently be the last time we see Stan's classic Fez design. It changes in the very next episode, and that's the one they go with after that.
Doesn't it get eaten by a Waddles in this episode at the end of the episode?
Yeah, that might be why it does. Like at the end of the Stan Wrong song bit.
I don't think we have any guest voice actors.
No. Well, who did the voice for the Cashville guy?
Regulars.
Kevin Michael Richardson did the voice of Rich, who was the Cashville guy. He normally plays Sheriff Plump, so yeah, I guess we didn't have really any guests this week.
That's one of the regulars.
Just all regulars.
I mean, Kevin Michael Richardson is definitely a notable voice actor, but I mean, we just custom.
Absolutely. So yeah, that's it this episode. Next week, we're going to be watching Bottomless Pit, which is, I don't remember a lot about this episode other than how it kind of ends.
So in each season, in season 1, season 2, there's an episode where there's 3 shorts.
Oh, this is the short episode. Oh, okay. That's why I don't remember it very much. So we'll see how this one goes next week.
Just kind of fun little one-shot stories. I like the season 2 one better, but the season 1 is just fine.
Yeah. So, yeah. Hey, Doc Sea Monster, where can people find you if they want to talk to you about stuff online?
Oh, I'm on Twitter way too much. I am at Dr. Sea Monster. That is at DRC Monster. Come and follow me on Twitter, where you can see me make insightful critiques on the current environment of Magic the Gathering.
Nice.
It needs more reanimation. It does. I'm all about graveyard recursion strategies. That is my thing. I like White. White has very little mass reanimation. That's mostly the thing you get from Black or Black and White together. I think White on its own should be able to get mass reanimation of cheap creatures. And I am so deep in the mechanics of the game now that this will make no sense to anybody who's not already entrenched. So I'm going to stop.
You can find me, as always, on Twitter at ThatFirePrincess, spelled D-A-T. You can find me on my numerous podcasts, including one I do here with Dr. Sea Monster called Let's Pull the Trigger on a podcast, where I have made the mistake of deciding that we were going to do everything that Studio Trigger has ever done. It's a mistake.
Since we started the podcast, not only have they released a new anime, they have announced a new anime.
They have. It was a mistake. My hubris will be the death of me.
It'll give us something to do for the next couple of years.
The next forever.
Forever.
Yeah. I also do another podcast with a friend called World Eater Fib. It's called One Half Podcast, where it's just this, but for Rama One Half, and we talk about Rama not appreciating the gift that he's been given. Could you imagine just needing a glass of cold water to be perfect?
As a gender fluid person, I'm a little bit jealous.
Right? I mean, I'm not gender fluid, but I would just keep a glass of cold water around me at all times. Just bam. Cold showers the rest of my life. Anyway, that's all. That's it. That's the episode, folks. So, remember, until next time...
Reality is an illusion! The universe is a hologram! Bye, Gold! Bye!
Bye!
Grunkle Stan!
Look, I'm not gonna...
Do it!
I'm Stan and I was wrong. I'm singing the Stan wrong song. I shouldn't have taken that chance. Now here's my remorseful dance.
Do the kicks! Jazzier!
Hey, give me that! Oh, my back.
What do you think? Take 30!
Oh.